a rich man's world. I have turned the soul of this beautiful land, but the beautiful.
I'm gonna put this over here. So, yeah. That's cozy. Yep. Well, thank you. Welcome to the We Us and Our show. I am your host, Michael Phelps from the We Us and Our community group. As I always state, we are an informational group and an educational group. We bring fundamental principles to the community on what we should look for and how we should attack them and how we can unify as a collective on bringing down some of the strongholds that face our livelihoods. So let me let the kings and queen introduce themselves.
Marion Bailey.
Eli Jolly.
Okay. You got any specific topics you brought?
Sure. A couple things from last week, or yeah, let's see here. We have a New Orleans mother that's fighting for justice after her 6-month-old daughter. The daughter's hand was intentionally dipped in a hot bottle warmer by a daycare employee. The child suffered second-degree burns. Rapper Jeezy, in an interview this week, says that therapy could not help save his marriage. I will say this. I will say that the couple shares a daughter together, and the child's birth certificate was leaked or released, and she doesn't have a gender on the birth certificate. Jeannie Mai was very adamant on the child picking her gender, and so they said she's non-binary. When I had my kids, that wasn't an option, which we never would have taken that, but it just wasn't offered on birth certs, and that was '05 was my firstborn. But I'm pretty sure I don't know him personally, but I'm pretty sure Jeezy wasn't raised like that to be checking the non-binary box, but whatever. A 75-year-old teacher was sentenced to 10 years for repeatedly sexually assaulting a 14-year-old boy in the school basement. This case is out of Wisconsin. She was found guilty of 25 counts of sexual assault. The 75-year-old woman forced the 14-year-old boy to have sex during school hours.
Wow.
A Black Panther stuntman, he passed away, a tragic accident. 3 of his children were killed in this horrific accident. It's out of Atlanta. He was also in the Avengers. He was one of the extras in Avengers. 41 years old. He had 13-year-old daughter, 10-year-old son, and a newborn were all killed in that accident. 2 of his other daughters were in the accident, but they did survive. And lastly, the threat for a solar superstorm. It could wipe out the internet for weeks or months. It's the first time in history that there's been an increased usage of solar activity. And with that dependent on the internet, they're warning us that this destruction could come. So,
okay, you wanna okay, well, that's thanks for bringing a lot of stuff that's going on in our world to the
Do
table.
me a favor, could you repeat that last one so I'm clear?
yes, so it is called a solar superstorm. And what they're saying is it could wipe out the internet for weeks or months. It's the first time in history that we've had so much solar power depending on the internet. And so I believe it was 1859 was the last time a solar superstorm hit. But they were going through a list of what could potentially happen because it wouldn't just affect just the internet. I mean, it's there's a lot that will be affected,
universally.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that, but this is the thing, when I was digging into that, because I started thinking for myself just how that would affect me business wise. How would that affect my business? Because I do a lot.
You get rid of your bookkeeper.
Oh my goodness. So true. So true.
Just ask for a copy.
That's it. Can I get a copy? And so look, so this is the thing. So literally starting Monday, I am going to go through and make sure everyone has my fax number. Like we're gonna have to revert back, but just to be prepared. You know what I mean? Because I don't know.
Does fax go through a wire or does it go out?
Well, mine is old school, so I'm going through a wire. But there is.
Oh, it does go through a wire though?
There is a fax service that's digital.
Okay.
So, but I have old school from when I was in
you're guaranteed.
School. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, let us get to the topic. The topic is: should shame be the thing of the future as it was of the past when it comes to our families and communities? I had made some notes on certain things, thought about it, and read by definition and stuff. So, what is the root cause of shame? From my opinion and mine alone, shame can stem from a person's own poor choices or harmful behavior. Other times, unfortunate circumstances such as poverty or chronic physical illness plant seeds of shame. The definition of shame is an unpleasant, self-conscious emotion often associated with negative self-evaluation, motivation to quit, and feeling of pain, exposure, distrust, powerlessness, and worthlessness. Shame isn't focused on responsibilities, meaning the shameful act of things was done and the consequences wasn't considered. However, if consideration was taking place and morals taken into account, then maybe the shameful act wouldn't have taken place. However, shame is much more than an uncomfortable feeling or a response to a humiliating event or choices one made in the dark, but is embarrassed in the light. So when I think of shame, and the reason why I brought this topic to the table is because it seems like we got out of the realm of feeling shame for some of the behaviors that we have within our community towards one another, towards some of the teachings that goes forth in our community, as far as how we supposed to aid and assist each other or uplifting one another. It's like we don't shame the ideal that we can mislead or misguide others, and lead them down a foxhole to be tormented. Um, we don't think about some of the things that have shamed us as a people, while other cultures seem to neglect us or don't even consider us in anything and sitting at the round table.
Mm-hmm.
So if I asked the question, what would for shame for y'all, what would it be in y'all theory? Or what have you seen that we have neglected? What do you see that we have neglected shame or forgot about the uses of shame in our community?
Who cares?
Well, people should care.
They should, but I think that they don't because we're not taking into account the past. You know what I mean? Like when when I thought of this topic, when the topic came up and I'm thinking about it, I think of my parenting style. Like I parent with don't do nothing outside this house that's going to embarrass me.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's that shame.
Mm-hmm.
Like we are not going to have anything that's going to embarrass me. Don't embarrass this house. When we went to Martin Luther King's the museum in Memphis, and we walked through at the when you first walk in that museum, there is it starts from slavery and it goes up. You wind through this entire museum and building and interactive, and you're able to stand where the assassination took place. And so after we went to the museum, before we took this went on this NBA game, we sat down and we were talking, and I'm just like, people died so that y'all could be in these classrooms. Mm-hmm. So I definitely don't want you to be going to school acting a fool. You know what I mean? Like it's like a part of, I don't want to say discipline or structure, but it's like we have to get back to a place of, I can't do that because of what that'll look like, that consequence.
What makes you think we're not there already?
I would say because we're not working together. I would say that it looks like.
Why?
I would say that it looks like, if we can look at it when the fact that our dollar doesn't circulate in our community.
That ain't the right moment. I mean, that's not the one.
Okay. Then you tell me why. Because I'm saying togetherness.
Right. And what did you say? You didn't say I, you said we.
Yeah.
So we means more than one.
That's true.
And it's difficulty, not being disrespectful. It's a difficulty in equating a happenstance as opposed to reality. Mm-hmm. Okay, there is no such thing as we. 75% of our households are single parents. I say this all the time. The only two things that I say. 72% of our households are unemployment, are single parent. There are more black men in prison than were slaves in 1865.
Right.
Why would we think that we are in a normality?
Okay, so then can we have a new normal then? Are we able to, with what we have, can we figure out how to make this gumbo work? Can we do that?
We don't have.
Because it's not the 70% of men that's in prison, we're not changing that. I don't know what those sentences look like, but how do we lead?
The principle what we're talking about is totally based upon a family structure. And in our situation, a minimum of 75% of our households are single parent women. Okay. That, for if no other reason than economics, put you at the forefront of what happens. All right. Now, depending upon the situation that you're in, how much actual realness is based upon a tangible dollar as opposed to being in a family, community, developmental setting. Depends upon how you benefit from that.
Mm.
If you are so far away from that even being instituted within 2 generations, okay, it's wishful thinking, because everything that is facing us, everything that is happening to us is based upon us not being able to control communications, us not being able to control the morality structure in our environments, for us not have communication lines to try to correct those, and never having the educational system even to start off a foundation of reality as opposed to being put in a nonsensical world.
Well, even with the, you made a valid point. You said the communicational system that we have. Um, now that we are using a tool, because I call social media a tool,
Mhm.
it has given us privilege.
A communication tool.
It gave us communication to
Mhm.
relate
reach.
to reach family members that we have never talked to or never seen before in our lives, and we have reached those through social media. Now, I do know social media have taken on legs of its own, and people have demonized it because some people aren't shameful enough of the things that they do and say
It's the only thing we got.
on social media.
It's the only thing we got.
Exactly. So, but if shame was bestowed upon us or embraced, we wouldn't do some of the things or say some things to one another on a public platform where the whole world can see. So that's what I'm saying with shame. See, we lost that inability to understand what shame is and what it should look like when we interact with
Mhm.
one another, or as a culture, or as in a group, or even as family members, because even family members get on there and shame each other
Sure.
for personal hurts.
Unfortunately, your generation is the generation to cause for that concept of being shameful a misnomer. Okay. The types of action that happens within our community as it applies to what was programmed as gang violence and disruption was only legitimized by the fact there weren't no men around to repudiate that.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying it started with this generation?
The effect.
Okay.
That was the effect.
Okay. The effect.
Yes.
Okay.
That, not the cause.
Okay.
The end result.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
But that's where this universe thing comes in,
Mm-hmm.
because what you want is what you get.
For sure.
All right. And if you are in control and you want certain things to happen and you are able to control everything necessary to get that, then no matter upon what it does to any other entity, you happy on this outcome. If you also control the communications of this event so that those who wouldn't normally be comfortable with it, then you ain't even got to worry about that, because you just fix it up in a certain kind of way that, it becomes palatable. You don't have to necessarily accept it, but why not? All right.
But when do okay, let's say, because we already know the system already whipped us enough to the point, like we was talking when we got here. A lot of us don't even know that we are POWs of a system of America, and a lot of us don't know that we're conquered people.
Mm-hmm.
So, as being conquered people, because people don't realize that they're conquered, because once you're conquered, you take on the identity, personality, and characteristics of your conqueror. So everything that we have seen in our generations, from generation, we have emulated the conqueror behavior and attributes.
Give me one.
Well, we got materialistic, because we wanted to be like the conqueror. He had everything. He's got everything. So now we want to live like him. We want to be like him. We want to talk to him. But we keep saying they're stealing from us, but we stealing from them as well.
Because we want to be accepted.
We want to be accepted. We want to be accepted, and we want to be.
Have we been accepted?
We want to be accepted by them, but we still being rejected by them.
Correct.
So we are still in rejection.
Yes.
And in this time and space, we are still trying to be accepted.
Some
Yes.
people are. We got to get out of that though.
You got to categorize it for me.
The people that want to be accepted.
When we say we, I would imagine that we're talking about melanated people.
I'm talking about
Yes.
melanated people
Okay.
that want to still be accepted
Right.
by Caucasians.
Okay.
What I'm saying is there is a percentage that doesn't care. We're going to get our own. We're going to do our own. We need to go in a totally different direction as opposed to looking for the acceptance.
How do you identify that group?
I'm having a really hard time identifying that group. I'm gonna be
Well,
honest with
by
you,
sense of
because-
behaviors.
But how?
Characteristics of behaviors.
So,
behaviors.
so there's something that is visual or so financial that it affects you that you are aware of it. What, give me an example.
Well, you got those who you got those who will buy a Rolls Royce and drive it around the community.
We talking about us?
Yes, us.
Okay, all right.
You'll buy a Rolls Royce and drive it around the community so everybody can see what you have done. But you don't live in that community, but you can sure drive around and showboat what you have.
And out of 100,000 basic African Americans, how many you think are able to do that legitimately?
Maybe 1 to 3%.
Legitimately.
Maybe 1 to 3%. You know, I don't know the numbers on that, but I do know.
What drove you to that? Seeing it as such a small number, what drove you there?
But see, the thing is that he went to, the Rolls Royce it doesn't have to be a Rolls.
It could just be a nice car.
It can be a nice car with some rims.
Mobile home, that's mine. I mobile home. Give me a
Or we can say how they come down and gouge our community, how they come down and gouge our communities. Like those who got an education, left the community, became pastors and doctors or whatever, go outside of the community, live outside this community, but come down and say, okay, well, there's a benefit for me to come back to the community and take from it, but go out here and live out here. And then downplay the community because they say, oh, well, the community, it doesn't want to establish, it has no rules there, or talk about the inability for it to grow, but come down here, find reasons to come down here to take money or take something from it. I don't understand that. There's no shame in that. Because the people that they're gouging ain't shameful enough to say, hey, they've been manipulating us for a long time, come down here selling us hope, false dreams, and then going out there living next to their white counterpart and living lavishly, then come back here and brag about what they have gained and what they have.
Taking it into the context.
But let's do this. Don't ask the question. Tell us the question, because it'll be easier. Because then people can understand. Because you ask it. I don't know where you're going with it sometimes.
My main context is always that more than 75% of our families are single parents.
Okay.
And the next one is that there are more men in prison today than were slaves. That's the context. That's all right. Okay, now.
Can't argue that.
Why would we be concerned about the basic value set that we're in when it's so illogical for development because of the circumstances on a universal role, because it's always going to take a male and a female to produce, even though they have figured out ways to whatever the outpour is drawing such attention of the miscarriages and all the other kind of mess that they're getting away from it because it's affecting them. All right, so they can't play with us like that no more. All right. If we aren't solely invested, since we plan on staying around under capitalism and European financial control, having a situation where we are at the low end of the totem pole as it applies to access to the revenue, more women in head of households, and also having very few educational systems that are consistent enough on any generational time to reinforce that we need to be dealing more of control of our lives, because a lot of economic stability is based upon color. Why is it that we don't move from that? How come we don't as a people transition, change the way that we're living?
Because they're worried about the wrong things. You know what I mean? You got to remember, we're more fraudulent spenders than any other group of ethnic groups in this culture, in this country. Um, we do more things to self gratify ourselves and self because we're selfish individuals. We became selfish, and yes, we've been programmed to be that way. But there is a time where all of us, because they said those who know better do better.
Sure.
So when those who know chooses not to do better, then guess what happens? You have the same repetitive cycle, which they call Groundhog Day. We keep going over the same thing. So they always say that in class, you don't graduate until you pass the test.
Mhm.
So what happened is that we haven't passed the test. We keep flunking, and we keep going back to the same test. That's just my theory.
Can I give you a cultural example of that based upon dress?
Mm-hmm. Please do.
What was the most significant single activity that caused for more than a 65% alteration in Black people's decor, dress?
The boycott.
What boycott?
When they did the bus, when they boycotted the bus and crushed their economic system, and so therefore they had to so the whites had to redevelop because they seen that the power that they have. So they said, you know what, we got to make sure they don't have that power anymore.
The bus boycotts in Atlanta or Chicago, or which boycott you talking about?
What was the boycott?
There was only one boycott, and that was the one
Montgomery.
in Atlanta. That was the only boycott that they had that had any cities close only for its geographical area, not for universal consciousness.
But it sent a shockwave. I'm talking about, even if you look at it from just one region, or look at it from one city, or look at it from one county, or even if you look at it from one state, it still sent a shockwave enough to influence the ideal that they say, you know what, they are powerful, and it hurt them economically because there was an outcry from the people they heard it. So therefore, they had to make preparation to say that this cannot happen again. And that wasn't just for that little city. That said, they make sure that don't happen all over. So even if you threw a pebble in a little lake, and when it leaves a riffle, it shoots out way out. So you got to remember that it's the same thing. We have to be careful when we teaching our people. If we're going to teach them, make sure that we understand what we're giving them, because what would happen is that sometimes we want to sound intelligent, but we're hurting people.
When you say teaching, what do you mean? I'm sorry.
Our people, when we talking to them, we got to make sure we give them the right food to digest, because we don't want them to just eating anything.
And that's understanding where they are too, though.
Yes, and a lot of people, because you're smarter, you're beyond the scope of work of intelligence of where people are at, and when you give out information, you ask the question where a lot of people are lost in translation and interpretation. So to inform people and to inform the misinformed and the uninformed, we have to make sure that we inform them properly so they can get to the level we want them to be at.
Let me jump in real quick. Tilly wants you to repeat your question that you were asking.
Well, she tell her we need a few more documentators. Leave your number.
Hey, and the reason why I'm having these conversations,
that's what the money's at.
But the reason why I'm saying this, because a lot of people call me later and say, "Well, can y'all articulate that a little better?" Because so I just want to make sure everybody understands.
That's the purest example. I'm in this business. I've reiterated this several times. So when I tell you that I'm in communications, I'm in communications. We are so far removed from dealing with the issues that's necessary for our, in my estimation, turnaround in this situation, that for all practical purposes, I quit doing it myself.
Yeah.
If you've noticed that.
Yeah.
Here recently, because I was so sick of you on Facebook. certain entities that the communication was not serving me what I need to get done.
Right.
I've been working on my website for almost 20 years now. Okay. And that's not based upon having the technician to be able to put it in or me having the stuff to fill it.
Mm-hmm.
It's making sure that we're able to capture as much of the audience that we feel what information we have will help them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that gets hard.
It is.
Particularly like I said, Omaha, Nebraska is the best test market in the world. Everything you want, you can find in a 9-mile area.
You're right.
It's right here.
Yeah.
You ain't got to trip. Somebody say I ain't gonna take you. I don't need you. I can get over there. You can't do that in Chicago. All right, Philly, you can't do that, but you can do that here. But I consider that the universal blessing from the Creator. Same reason why Offutt built their center right here.
Mm-hmm.
That tells you something.
Yeah.
Okay.
A rich man's world